Never expected what remained to be the same, but we're the same. We're all the same. We're all the same. We're all the same.
Calen through the first challenge and the second! And it's getting better and better for the New England Revolution. The Supporters' Shield winners are out. Anderson to strike now. The shot slinger saves it! Can you believe that? Unbelievable stuff here! Zardes looks for the header. Oh, it's in the back of the net from Gianni Zardes. Audi works it now for Daniel Rios. Gonzalez able to recover, leads it first, backdoor save. The rebound, it's going to be put away. Toronto FC's reign in the Eastern Conference is ended by an expansion team.
Oh, give thanks. The Audi 2020 MLS Cup playoffs have given us so much this year, and they're poised to give us even more. Orlando, the 4 seed, New England, the 8 seed, getting things started on this Soccer Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern. ABC, TSN, TVA in Canada. Can the Revs pull an upset? And can Nashville pull off another upset against the 3rd seeded Columbus Crew, who have some big news swirling around them? We'll get to that in just a little bit. 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN, TSN TVA in Canada as well. Take a break between games. Go outside, see your family, hang out with family and friends in a safe way, of course. And tune in for all the soccer today. Welcome to the Audi 2020 MLS Cup Playoffs pregame show. Andrew Wiebe here with Charlie Davies and Calen Carr on this magnificent fall Sunday. 18 teams started this journey, only 8 remain. It's conference semifinal time, and today we're all about the Eastern Conference, starting with Orlando City and the Rebs, and then ending with Nashville against the Crew. Another upset maybe in the offing, and some big news as goalkeeper Eloy Room is out for Columbus. Now, guys, before we get ready for the action, I just want to get my hottest take of the day out of the way. I want to wake you up from your Thanksgiving food comas, and I'm just going to say this. You can respond. You can stay silent. Susanna had her Christmas tree up early. I'm here to tell you that turkey is a mediocre main dish, and there's a reason you only eat that bird one day a year, and it's not served in restaurants when choice is what's on the menu. As manager here, I give turkey a DNP every single day of the year. Anyway, let that marinate, and let's get to the soccer. I'm warmed up. I hope you guys are. Here's where the bracket currently stands.
Chuck, we're going to let this slide?
Yeah,
no,
stay
I don't
silent.
even know where
I see
this
what
is
side you're
coming
on.
from.
My side.
It's one of those things where it's like, I don't even want to get into it because I really don't
Yeah.
want to waste my time just tearing that apart.
It's fine. You had a tough Thursday. You had a little meat you didn't even want. What do you see here? What stands out to you, Calen?
Well, I mean, we've seen 2 of the play-in teams making a run and with some momentum on their side. So that has been sort of the big story, as well as the 2 top teams in the Eastern Conference going out. And Philadelphia, I'm still feeling that one just after their season. It hurts to watch them go out so quickly, but we have seen that much to Matt Doyle's chagrin of the Supporter Shield winners, not necessarily equating to postseason success. So, look, the playoffs have been awesome. They've been really exciting. There's been a little bit of everything, some drama, late action, penalty kicks. It's just been the young players, Wando. I mean, it's been really, really fun so far. So I'm excited to see what we still have in store.
Yeah, for me, I love what I'm seeing in these conference semifinals, but if you're looking at the Eastern Conference, I really believe that the winner between the New England Revolution and Orlando City game is going to get to MLS Cup. I think both those teams have really performed well this year. And you look at Oscar Pereira and what Bruce Arena have done, they have their team bought into the identity. They know exactly their strengths. They play to those strengths, and this is going to be an exciting matchup.
Nashville, Gary Smith, Mike A. Jacobs, Dax McCarty, those guys. They heard that, Charlie. That's going to go up on the bulletin board should they win, because they're not going to buy that one. Out in the Western Conference, I love Sporting Kansas City, Minnesota. I love Hot Boy Kevin Molino getting it done. And I love extra time after the game. You guys have been on with us. Tonight it's Charlie, myself, Dave Goss, Matt Doyle. I don't know if it's late enough and it's on a Sunday to get the brown liquor flowing, but we might have to think about it. So tune in anywhere you watch MLS content, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, the site, the app. You can catch us on the Extra Time post-game reaction show driven by Continental. We'll be checking out that YouTube chat, having fun with you as we sort of digest what is going. Now, let's take a really deep dive here on the first game of the day. You'll switch over there in about 24 minutes to ABC to watch Orlando New England Revolution. Let's start with you, Calen. Eastern Conference, who is the favorite? Because we saw the top seeds drop out, and now we see kind of a free-for-all where everybody has a reason and a right to believe in themselves.
I think it's pretty wide open. I mean, when going into the playoffs, although Philly was the top seed as well, I've still felt that for a long time the road to MLS Cup, until I learn otherwise, goes through Seattle in the West and Toronto FC in the East. Well, Seattle's still there, TFC goes out as well as Philly, and that just knocks it down another notch. So I actually look at Columbus Crew at this moment. I just think their consistency throughout, and then they had a little bit of a drop-off that let people forget that throughout much of the regular season, Columbus has been one of the best teams. And when I look at top-end talent still, I think the best number 9 still in the playoffs, the best midfield 3, probably the best center back in Jonathan Mensah, and then we got to see Room in goal, who I think if he's available and up there, still around the top goalkeepers in the East. So right down the spine is where the strength is for this Columbus Crew team, which to me in the playoffs is really important now. They've got a tough matchup against Nashville, who have a lot of momentum on their side and are no easy task, especially their strength as well up the spine. But I just think top-end talent right now, cohesion and balance have Columbus Crew thinking they've got a good chance getting to MLS Cup.
Caleb Porter told us on Extra Time, way back in the day, way back before MLS's back tournament, that this was the goal. MLS Cup was what they were going after. Nothing else was truly important to them. We'll see if they can do that. I love Orlando City. I just think the depth of their attack is a little bit different than what any other team has with youth and with that veteran leadership, and the back line and midfield is really strong. The question is, without Pedro Gaese today, what do they do? Charlie, who do you got? Favorite in the East? What do you think?
Yeah, I think whoever wins this match, like I said earlier, both teams are really, having a terrific end of the year. And you look at what New England Revolution were able to do against the Philadelphia Union. It was actually a tactical masterclass from Bruce Arena. He said, all right, Jim Curtin, you won Coach of the Year, but I'm going to switch it up on you. And Jim Curtin couldn't adjust. And it was by bypassing the two midfielders, Scott Caldwell and Matt Polster. They didn't play out of the back. They didn't use them to gain possession and retain possession. It was, let's get our outside backs down the field and let's find Carlos Gil, the little magician. He has been phenomenal the last two matches since he's getting into form. He's creating all these open spaces for the Revolution because of his movement. He's got great ball control. And then the Revolution are now just believing in themselves. You have Adam Buxa, who struggled all year, finishing. Tejan Buchanan can play on the right, the left, now playing at right fullback and scoring goals. This team is complete. And now you look on the flip side, Orlando City, Daryl Dike, hold-up play. He's also a very undervalued passer as well in the attacking third. And what I've seen from him is the growth, being a finisher, and allowing Nani, Chris Mueller, to now take space because he's occupying two center backs with his strength.
All right, let's take a look at these Revs right now, Charlie. And you get a close-up view. I believe you're at Gillette right now, or you're preparing to call this game. I see the people behind you. I see you all dressed up. So, folks in New England, if you want to throw on the radio while you watch ABC, feel free to do so. Bruce Arena has said repeatedly about the playoffs, your best players win the biggest games. And their best players are showing up right now. They're designated players. Gustavo Bo, game winner against the Montreal Impact. Adam Buxa, dunks a header, really starting to come into his own as a goal scorer. And then, of course, Carlos Gil. He is the masterpiece. He is the key behind it all. What's changed for them as far as their DPs go and the production? Is it just that Gil is back? Is he that important?
Oh, it's very simple. Carlos Gil at 100%, and he's back. He's been dealing with Achilles heel injury all year. And so you have Adam Buxa coming in, your target number 9, who hasn't had a chance to develop a partnership with the player who's supposed to supply you with all the service. You had Gustavo Bo, who tried to do too much because he was kind of focused on being the facilitator as well as the finisher. And we all know what Gustavo Bo is. He's a player that pops up in the right places around the box, and he's lethal. He's not typically known for being that facilitator. So now when you have Carlos Gil, it's just the same if Seattle Sounders didn't have Nico Ladero or if Toronto FC didn't have Alejandro Pozuelo. He's that caliber. He's a very efficient tactical player. And so when you have Carlos Gil on the field, now things open up for the Revolution. Now you're that much more dangerous on set pieces because of the balls he plays in and who he can pick out. He's got that much class. And then obviously we've seen his first touch. His tactical awareness, when players kind of come around him, he always knows where to move and how to move. He's very deceptive. He doesn't have the most pace in the league when you look around some of the more speedier attacking midfielders, but what he does have is just being able to off-foot defenders. He's very tricky. You can't really grab him or put a hand on him just because of his ability to evade tackles. And so when you look at this Revolution side, that's the difference. And they're better playing away from home than they are playing at Gillette Stadium. They have a winning record playing on the road versus a losing record playing at home. So this team is very motivated and encouraged to play at Orlando City and feel like they have a really good shot to win.
Maybe you missed it this year, folks. He's been out, but you didn't miss it last year when he was best 11, 10 goals and 14 assists. We've seen this from them. Calen, think back to your days playing in this league, seeing how top-tier number 10s change teams. As you've watched this Revs team, as he's come into the team, had a goal and 2 assists just in this postseason already. What does he change for the players around him? Because I really think that's the key.
Yeah, I mean, he's the brain of the team, and Charlie compared him to a couple good ones as well with Ladero as well as Pozuelo. And I mean, there was a time when Carlos Hill, when he first came into MLS, where he was a nice player, but he wasn't really that effective. And a big part of it was they didn't have the pieces around him. He was constantly dribbling around in circles, as you see here. But then what didn't really have somebody to play that final pass to? Well, New England go out and they get Bruce Arena. He remakes the side. They invest some money into the team. They go get Buxa. They go get Bo. They get some nice pieces, and they go and even find some pieces in the draft. And it's really been an entire rebuild for the Revolution, as Charlie would have seen firsthand. But it comes down to Heel today. And they have to stop him. If you're Orlando City, they have to condense the space in the middle of midfield. A lot of that is going to fall on Urso to be able to track Heel, because as far as Heel goes, that's as far as Revolution are going to go. And so if you cut off the brain, the body will fall. And that's what the task is for Orlando City today.
Bruce Arena says, run it back. I'm going with the same team that knocked out the Supporters Shield winners. Charlie,
Yep.
What do you see? How do you think they'll play?
Yeah, and they shouldn't change it, and they shouldn't change the tactics as well. Keep the ball with Carlos Heel. From Kessler or Turner to Heel, bypass Polster and Caldwell. And what I'm going to be watching in this match is the matchup between Henry Kessler and Daryl Dike, college teammates. Now they played against each other every day in training last year at the University of Virginia under George Galnavach. Now, in the playoffs, the biggest match of their lives, they're competing against each other. And so what Henry Kessler has been doing all well, he's been extremely consistent, is reading where the striker's trying to get to. And also being able to break up the challenge, not diving in. What Daryl Dike has done well all year is his hold-up play, great first touch, avoiding that center back, and then whether it's the shot or the pass, making the right decision. So those two competing against each other is going to be pivotal. So critical for each team's success.
Revs meet ACC, a dream for Charlie Davies on this pregame show as we wait until 3 p.m. Eastern. Here's Orlando City's lineup. We knew that there would be no Pedro Gallese. He got that second yellow and red card. And the kicks from the mark there and to advance against NYCFC. So in comes Brian Rowe, who tried to come in the last game and wasn't able to do so. Left side, you have Kamal Miller coming in. And then you have Smith on the right. So, of course, no Huon in this game. He is out because he got the red card as well. Nani, DK, Mueller, Pereira, those are the attackers. Rosel Urso, and Janssen and Antonio Carlos. Calen, what do you see here? What stands out?
No Schlegel. No. Rowe stepping in. And Smith will come in, and Kamal Miller on the left. It's not going to be a 4-4-2 the way it's drawn up here consistently. Orlando trying to maybe play mind games for anybody that hasn't watched them all season. It'll be closer to a 4-3-3 or a whatever version of that you want to call it. But Nani will be out on the left-hand side. I think that matchup will be interesting for me going against Tejan Buchanan, because Buchanan has a total of one match at wingback, and he was really effective getting forward. So it'll be a little bit of cat and mouse. And just next to him is Andrew Farrell, who is not very comfortable sliding out to the wing. If you can get him to move over to that channel and have to face up 1v1 versus Nani, that's going to be a really interesting point to watch and part of the field to watch in this game.
I think what also needs to be told here is the importance of Antonio Carlos. Without Pedro Gallese, who came up massive for them against New York City FC, those two big-time saves to keep them in the game. Without him, Brian Rowe, a decent keeper coming into the side, one that has a number of matches under his belt, but it's going to come down to Antonio Carlos and his organizing the back line. He's always done well with Robin Janssen as his partner to clean up the mess, to kind of be that player who can play out of the back. He's also very confident, but he's really going to make sure that you don't allow Gustavo Bo to get into spots unmarked, and you don't allow, whether it's Adam Buxa making those near post runs or Carlos Hill being able to come in the box unimpeded. It's really going to come down to Antonio Carlos and how he makes sure that this defense stands tall.
Pedro Gallese, of course, in that game against NYCFC was ridiculous. They call him El Pulpo for a reason. That's octopus. He was sticking those hands out and knocking the ball out of places you thought he had no chance of getting to. How much does this hurt Orlando? How much does it hurt what Oscar Pareja is trying to do with this team? I mean, you don't have essentially one game changer certainly in your goalkeeper, and I think Huon in this league is a game changer oftentimes at outside back. Calen, how much does it hurt? How much does it sort of lessen your confidence, let's say, that they can get the job done?
Significantly, but I think it will need to change the way they play. Their tactics need to adapt because no Juan, and then you also have to remember no Moutinho, means the overlap is off, which has been a big feature of their attack when it's been flowing, where you have Nani and Mueller tucking in, and then you have Juan and Moutinho bombing down the flanks. And when you have no Gallese, it means that you don't have that safety valve. And they were stretched at times, and he had to bail them out. That is not going to be there today. And I actually think they don't have to look far to how they need to adapt and change, because when they went a man down, to me, they actually looked a little bit better. They were more responsible defensively. That's the path for them to go forward, shut down that space, especially in the middle of midfield for Gustavo Bo, and then use the pace and behind to Mueller and Nani and get in behind on the wings.
I got my notes here. Rodrigo Schlegel is on the bench, I believe, so PKs are handled for Oscar Pareja. Real quick, before we get to the other game, Charlie, I'm just curious. It's a this or that question for you. Who is there more pressure on for Orlando City? Is it the youngsters, Mueller and DK, who really didn't show up against NYCFC, or is it the old guard, Mauricio Pereira and Nani? Who is feeling the most pressure today as Orlando City look to go where they've never gone before?
Since I've been there before, no doubt it's the young guys, and Chris Mueller and Daryl DK.
Okay.
Both didn't have performances that you go home and you feel good about. You want to come back. You want to rebound. You want to have an impact in this match. And when Mueller and DK have been hot, when they've been in form, they are so tough to deal with. And so you're going to have to watch the first 15 minutes. How many times are they getting on the ball? Daryl DK didn't have many touches in the last match. He wasn't involved all that much. Chris Mueller, how many times is he making runs in behind? Is he stretching DeJuan Jones? Is he keeping DeJuan Jones at home? Because that's a important part for the New England Revolution, using their outside backs now. So if you keep DeJuan Jones at home, now you're creating more space underneath for Pereira and Nani to get on the ball in those areas. So it's going to be very important for those two youngsters to kind of start this game off on the right foot.
I can't wait. I cannot wait. They might be in U.S. camp later on this year. About 10 minutes left until this game starts on ABC, 3 p.m. Eastern up in Canada, TSN and TVA. Of course, we'll be keeping an eye on the scoreboards today for more than one reason. Goals mean dollars to drive youth development. During the Audi 2020 MLS Cup playoffs, Audi will be donating to the MLS Academies as part of their Audi Goals Drive Progress program. Each goal worth $2,000. So far in the playoffs, we've seen 31 goals scored, so our grand total, as it currently stands, is $62,000. Of course, guys like Jordan Morris, guys like Tejan Buchanan helping out on that one as well. Morris, coming straight out of the Sounders Academy, too. That's what we are trying to produce, moments like this, players like this, and here is the bad news today for the Columbus Crew. Big news, 7 players now listed on the Crew injury report as, quote, not medically cleared to play. Team spokesman Tim Miller confirmed to the Columbus Dispatch that 7 players on the team had tested positive for COVID-19. The players listed, you can see them there, as not medically cleared to play: Waylon Francis, Sebastian Berhalter, Miguel Berry, Derek Etienne Jr., John Kempen, Eloy Room, and Vito Wormgoor. Eloy Room, the sort of locked-in starter at goalkeeper, and Derek Etienne's been getting some minutes as well. But some good news in a tough year and tough moment for the Crew. Caleb Porter said on Saturday, those players are feeling good, they're all asymptomatic, and they're all healthy and safe. But that is big news for the 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. And Eloy Room being out is huge news as we think about Pedro Gallese as well, because, Calen, this defense for the Crew is not what it once was. The first 13 games, they conceded 5 goals, 9 shutouts. We were like, okay, that is absolutely incredible. That is record-breaking. Last 11 games, though, including playoffs, 18 goals conceded, no shutouts. What's going on? Is something wrong?
Well, it's going to be a challenge as well, because I would imagine that would have interrupted their training schedule as well, with the positives to not be able to train collectively throughout the week. But they have spent time this season without Room before and have been okay. I think the bigger positive for them going forward, and I always felt this way about Columbus as far as their defense goes, is having their attack going and having their midfield intact, because you can't get hurt that much if you have the ball most of the game. And when Columbus dominates the ball, when they dominate possession, that's when they're at their strength. And with getting Zelarayan, getting Nagbe, getting those players together with Artur has really helped a lot. So I think when you look at the list of players, Etienne Jr. will be another miss. He's been really good in the playoffs, especially in that last match, I believe, with 2 assists. But the Columbus Crew team is still largely intact. So if they can get through this first round, or this second round, and then get Room back, I think they're going to be able to withstand this, and I think still there's going to be a little bit more. Same with Gallese missing. When you don't have that goalkeeper behind you, you don't have that safety valve. They may need to be a little bit safer at times, but Jonathan Mensah plays a big role in that, and I think they'll be well organized.
I think this is an instance where you invite Nashville. You stay compact. You try and open them up because the Columbus Crew are unbeaten at home. And if you look at the last matchup between these two teams, it was very close. Nashville had the better of chances, but Columbus Crew were able to score that 50th minute goal from Pedro Santos off a turnover, and then they get the 90th minute goal from Zardes. So I think, again, you play compact, you force them to come at you, and then you look to expose them in behind.
Of course, the Crew are going to look to open up Lucas Zelarayan. We know Caleb Porter likes to play with one, a number 10, and two, Darlington Nagbe. Both those guys we expect to be in the lineup tonight. The player spotlight, though, is on the Argentine. He was the big signing in the offseason. He was the newcomer of the year in Major League Soccer. When you think about what he has done for this team that was not a playoff team last year, Calen, what has been the Lucas Zelarayan effect for the Crew, and how might we see that take shape today?
Fantastic player. I mean, you just watch the highlights and the quality, the way he's been able to, impact the game on the ball mostly. Right foot, left foot, putting balls into the upper corners, dropping balls on other teammates' heads. And he just continues to find these soft spots in between the back lines and is able to operate within them. He's with Nagbe and Artur behind him, he doesn't need to drift too far back to get the ball, so he gets into some advanced positions on the field, and then is almost always able to find that perfect right pass. I really think he's one of the top players, one of the most creative players in MLS this year, and him getting healthy at the right time, we've seen what that's done for Carlos Hill, but it's massive for Columbus Crew to get Zelarayan back.
And don't think that Nashville are just going to let him stroll around on that pitch untouched with plenty of space and time, because we saw what they did to Alejandro Pozuelo. And,
yep.
of course, they're different players, but they have the same impact for their teams. So they're going to try and neutralize him right off the bat and force Nagbe to beat you, or Artur, or some of these other options, and not let Zelarayan dictate the tempo.
What's that mean practically, guys? Because I think about that game that Nashville played against Toronto, and they saw Pozuelo, and they said, look, you kill people in zone 14. And if you're thinking, you're like, what is zone 14? That area right at the top of the 18-yard box where he dictates possession and he creates chances. How do you keep Columbus out of that area? That's where they want to be, but they're also dangerous out wide. So if you're Gary Smith, you're Walker Zimmerman, you're Dax, you're game planning for this. What is your game plan? How do you prevent chance creation from the Crew?
Well, I think it starts a little bit ahead of them. Sorry, Chuck. I think it starts a little bit ahead of them. It's just that, because that Dax is going to be responsible, and Anunga filled in well without Godoy in the last match. But in front of them, they really need a little bit of work from Cadiz, from Mukhtar, just to be able to not have to have Dax get it too advanced. Because if you start to see Dax pushing on too much in this match, going closer to Nagbe, going closer to Artur to apply pressure that isn't being provided by the guys in front, then that's where that gap between Zimmerman and Dax begins to grow, and that's where Zelarayan finds joy. So getting a little bit of work from those front three, front four, and not getting disconnected between the back five and the back four, and getting Dax to have to vacate that space, that's going to be the key for Nashville, to stay connected and not let Zelarayan find that space.
Well, I would just say continue to do what they've done so well, which is be compact, have that box of four when you talk about the two center backs and Romney and Walker Zimmerman, and then Brian Anuga and Dax McCarty. And what Dax McCarty's done so well is he's raised his game since Anibal Godoy has gone out. He's been more of an attacking threat. He gets on the ball, he's dictating the tempo. He's put it on himself to be the kind of facilitator for Nashville. And we've seen him get more in advanced positions when we talk about that goal, using his pace, Alphonso Davies' pace, to score. So I love what I've seen from Dax McCarty. And if there's ever one player you want running the show and being the guy who's responsible for organizing your team and winning those tackles and second balls, it's Dax McCarty. So what Columbus Crew haven't done well is marking at the top of the box. So you flip it back on the Columbus Crew, and we're going to see Dax available at the top of the box. You can't give him a free shot because he will finish. He is that player that if he has time and space, he's good enough to score goals from that angle, and we've seen it already in these playoffs. So I think for Dax McCarty, it's continuing to on the defensive side of the ball, be in front of the back four, but also on the attacking side of the ball, get up, get advanced, and get those opportunities at the top of the box.
Hoping we talk to Dax. At least Nashville fans are hoping so on extra time after this match. Each time they've won, we've talked to Dax McCarty. He said, I want to be on another time so we can get to the brink of MLS Cup. They're making sweet music in Nashville. It's a crescendo. You don't come out and kill it right from the start. You got to grow as a band. And this, okay, my comparison is falling flat here, but you get what I mean. Now the DPs are doing their thing. The lead singer is finding his pipes, and Hani Mukhtar, I think, is the lead singer. Jonder Cadiz has got there. He's handling business. He's providing that rhythm for the guys around him and maybe a final touch. And then, of course, Randall Leal has the moment, too. What's changed with these DPs in Nashville? Is it just proximity? Is it just being together, Calen? Or have we been waiting for something else, and this might be, again, a little inconsistent from them?
I think it's confidence mostly, and getting together at the right time. But in the last match, they were pretty wasteful, I thought. They did not finish their chances well and managed to find a way through. But those margins get tighter the further you go in the playoffs, where you miss one chance, you miss two chances. That might be it for you. And when they've been good, they've taken their chances well. So, the Mukhtar, I think, has been much improved. He's probably the most important piece of the bunch as far as being able to generate opportunities. He can create them on his own and for others. But they're going to need to be more efficient if they're going to try and get through today against Columbus.
Yeah, no doubt. Cadiz got to find that offside line. Those fullbacks whipping good service. He had 2 goals from that got pulled back because he was offside. We'll see what they can do. 8 p.m. That is the nightcap. We're about to get out of here. You're going to go to ABC to watch Orlando, New England. But I need predictions from the two of you. And Charlie, get us started. Give me each game, quickly your winner, and who's going to MLS Cup out of the East.
I'm going with the Revolution with a big upset against Orlando City because Pedro Galese and Juan are just too big of a mess to beat this team that's really in full confidence. And then you look at Columbus Crew, Nashville. I'm going to go with the Crew because they're at home. I'm going to go with the Crew, even though Nashville
finally
really,
jumping off that Nashville bandwagon, huh? You were there.
Yeah.
You could ride it all the way, Charlie.
They just have the
Bravery.
players. When you talk about
brave.
Nagby and Zelarayan to break down Nashville, and then Zardes, they need him to finish. But I think they have all the pieces they need to beat this Nashville team.
All right, get in his mentions, Nashville fans, like you're in mine, 24/7. Calen, who you got, man?
Come. Hey, props to Nashville.
No, it's a tough. Honestly, I could see either of these going either way. But if I'm going to make my pick, I'm going to go Columbus. The way I came out with the beginning of the show, saying that I think the most balanced team still left as far as defense as well as attack. Maybe the strongest up the middle. Although set pieces for Nashville maybe might change the script. But I'm going to go on the other side. I'm sorry, Chuck, New England, and I don't like to bet against Bruce Arena at this time of year. But Orlando, I like the way that they're playing. I feel if they're the energy right there, controlled aggression, they're going to need to find a way of being a little bit more cautious today. But I think if they go forward in moments, and even though they're playing at home, play a little bit more compact, I think Nani and Orlando continue their rise. So those are my picks for today. I'm not making a pick.
It's not a bad
Give me
shot.
the Road Warriors. Give me the Road Warriors. Revs, Nashville. Throw some chaos in there. It's 2020. It's ridiculous. Columbus, Nashville is our night match here, 8 p.m. Eastern, ESPN, TSN TVA, up in Canada. And you're headed right now, if you're in the States, to ABC for Orlando and New England. An epic matchup with some big stars and some young guys who might be in that U.S. national team camp very, very soon. And then after it all, Extra Time's got the post-game reaction. We've got interviews from the winning teams. We've got all the hot takes, everything that you need to know after the eastern side of the brackets, the conference semifinals. All right, go enjoy the soccer, everybody. We'll see you afterwards. ABC, that's where you're headed, or TSN or TVA in Canada. Enjoy your day.